This is the spiritual phase, the awakening of your higher vibration and the merging of desire and fulfillment. As you listen, you'll remember what your soul has always known, that manifestation flows not from effort, but from alignment with your divine nature. The spiritual phase, introduction. In the silent rhythm of eternity, consciousness dances with itself, and within that dance, you hold the hidden key. These words are not teachings of something new, but echoes of remembrance, whispers of wisdom your soul has always known, now stirring once more from the depths of your being. The law of attraction is not merely a law of desire. It is a sacred bridge to higher awareness. When your thoughts vibrate in harmony with pure consciousness, you move beyond the longing of the mind and step into the sacred union where desire and fulfillment are one breath, one pulse, one field of being. This journey through the spiritual phase is the timeless path of awakening. Like the river that knows its way to the sea, your spirit flows effortlessly toward its divine source. There is no struggle in this unfolding, only a soft surrender to the wisdom that eternally lives within you. Vibration is the true language of creation. Each thought, each emotion, sends its song into the infinite. As your inner music rises in purity and peace, life itself begins to dance in tune with your elevated frequency. You're not becoming something new. You are remembering what you have always been, the living expression of divine consciousness. The unfolding of your evolution moves through sacred phases. First, awareness, the awakening to your unity with the infinite. Then, alignment, the gentle harmonizing of thought, emotion, and truth. And finally, integration, where the inner light of your being radiates outward and reshapes the world before you. In the spiritual phase, manifestation ceases to be an act of striving and becomes an effortless flow of grace. From this state of knowing, you no longer seek, you allow. For in the infinite field of consciousness, every possibility already exists, awaiting only your remembrance. Here, beyond practice and principle, you enter the art of divine being. And in this sacred stillness, you come to realize the highest truth, that the greatest manifestation of all is the awakening of your own eternal nature. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Part 1, Awakening the Inner Magnet. Chapter 1. The Whisper Beyond Wanting. In the soft light of dawn, a painter named Millie stood before her empty canvas, her heart heavy with unfulfilled dreams. Each morning she would gaze at her collection of unsold paintings, her fingers trembling with an urgent desire for recognition. Day after day, she reached out to galleries, entered competitions, and shared her work online, each attempt tinged with a desperate need for validation. If only they could see, she would whisper to herself, her brushstrokes betraying her anxiety. If only someone would recognize my talent. Yet the more she grasped, the more her art seemed to retreat into shadows, like a butterfly evading capture. The universe responds not to our pleas, but to our presence. When you chase what you desire with desperation, you unknowingly push it further away. Your yearning creates a vibration of absence, and the universal law faithfully mirrors this frequency back to you. In the space between wanting and having lies a sacred threshold, the point where trust replaces struggle. Here, in this fertile void, manifestation takes root. The law of attraction operates through resonance, not through force. When your emotional state aligns with the essence of what you seek, the universe naturally draws it toward you. In time, Millie discovered a different approach. One morning, instead of painting, she sat in silence before her canvas. She closed her eyes and allowed herself to feel complete, whole, and at peace with her art, regardless of external validation. In this quiet surrender, something shifted. A merchant walking past her studio window noticed the tranquil energy emanating from within. Drawn by an inexplicable force, he entered and found himself moved by the authentic beauty captured in her work. This single moment, born not from seeking but from being, opened doors Millie had long tried to force. The second phase of Millie's journey reveals a universal truth. When you release the grip of desperate wanting, you create space for natural alignment. No longer did she paint to be seen. She painted because she was already whole. Her art became an overflow of her inner stillness, rather than a cry for attention. Your desires are meant to flow to you with the same effortless grace as breath entering your lungs. The key lies not in the intensity of your wanting, but in your ability to harmonize with the frequency of fulfillment. Practice. Begin each morning with the silence of completion. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Breathe deeply and allow your desire to take form in your mind, not as a future hope, but as a present reality. Feel the completeness of having what you seek. Then, direct your gratitude toward the quiet space within where this fulfillment already exists. Let this feeling of grateful completion be your first artistic stroke upon the canvas of each new day. Chapter 2. The Frequency of Allowing. In a small village garden, Calvin tended his plants with furrowed brows and anxious hands. Each morning, he measured the soil's moisture with precision instruments, adjusted nutrients to exact proportions, and monitored growth with meticulous records. Yet, despite his vigilance, or perhaps because of it, his garden seemed reluctant to flourish. "They must grow," he would mutter, pacing between the rows of hesitant seedlings. "I've done everything right." But the more he hovered, the more his plants appeared to shrink from his watchful gaze, their leaves curling inward as if seeking shelter from his worry. The law of attraction operates through the subtle language of energy. Your plants, like every aspect of creation, respond not merely to physical care, but to the vibration of your belief. When you approach your garden, or any desire, with anxiety, you transmit a frequency of doubt that the universe must honor. Trust is not measured in careful steps, but in peaceful presence. Just as a flower knows when to bloom without instruction, your desires carry within them the intelligence of perfect timing. Your role is not to force the process, but to maintain the fertile soil of positive expectation. In the depths of summer, as Calvin's worries reached their peak, nature offered her wisdom. A sudden storm swept through the village, wild and untamed. Calvin watched helplessly from his window as rain danced freely with his garden. For the first time, he had no choice but to surrender control. The next morning revealed a transformation. His garden had awakened, stretching toward the sky with newfound vigor. The very plants he had watched so carefully now swayed with life, nourished by something beyond his planning. the natural rhythm of the universe itself. This truth extends beyond gardens into every field of manifestation. The universe operates through allowing, not controlling. When you release your grip on outcomes, you open the channel for natural abundance to flow. Your task is not to make things grow, but to create conditions where growth becomes inevitable. Often, in your journey of manifestation, you focus so intently on the desired fruit that you miss the miracle occurring beneath the surface. Like roots spreading unseen in rich soil, your desires are always in motion, gathering strength in the quiet spaces between your thoughts. Calvin's garden taught him what your own experience whispers, that the universe responds most generously when we trust its timing. His transformation from anxious observer to grateful participant mirrors the shift required in all manifestation, from forcing to flowing, from controlling to allowing. Practice. As twilight softens the edges of day, find a quiet moment to practice the gratitude of unfinished things. Sit in stillness and whisper your thanks for everything still in process, the dreams not yet realized, the seeds still germinating, the path still unfolding. Feel the peace in knowing that miracles flourish best in unclenched hands, in the gentle soil of trust rather than the tight grip of control. Let your gratitude embrace both what is and what is becoming, understanding that the universe's timing surpasses your own. Chapter 3. The Mirror Within. In the bustling marketplace of an ancient city, Nora moved through the crowds with a critical eye. Each passerby seemed to carry an offense, a merchant too aggressive, a child too loud, a woman too proud. Her mind catalogued their faults as she searched for the perfect fabric for her wedding dress. "They are all so," she muttered, letting the thought trail into judgment. Yet with each criticism, similar encounters multiplied around her. The aggressive merchants grew more insistent, the children more chaotic, the proud more disdainful. As the day wore on, an elderly weaver caught her attention. His stall displayed the finest silks she had ever seen, but his peaceful demeanor struck her more than his wares. As Nora approached, ready to find fault, he simply smiled and held up a peculiar mirror. "Before choosing your fabric," he said softly, "perhaps you might wish to see what you'll be wearing it with." In that mirror, Nora saw not just her face, but the very judgment she had cast all day reflected in her own expression. The tension in her brow, the slight curl of her lip. She wore the same masks she had condemned in others. The universe operates through reflection, not judgment. What you perceive as external resistance is merely your inner landscape made visible. Each person who triggers discomfort serves as a messenger, revealing where your own heart seeks healing. In the soft afternoon light, Nora encountered a young woman struggling with her packages. Her first impulse was to scoff at the woman's disorganization, but remembering the mirror, she paused. In that moment of awareness, she recognized her own fear of appearing imperfect. Instead of judgment, she offered help. As they walked together, sharing stories and laughter, Nora felt a weight lift from her spirit. The marketplace itself seemed to transform. Where before she had seen only chaos and resistance, now she discovered a dance of human experiences, each one perfect in its imperfection. The law of attraction weaves through every interaction, every judgment, every moment of grace. When you project criticism into the world, you create a frequency that must return to you multiplied. But when you transmute judgment into understanding, you alter not just your perception, but the very fabric of your reality. Your outer world mirrors your inner state with unfailing accuracy. Those situations that disturb your peace carry messages about where your own heart needs gentleness. As you learn to embrace these reflections with compassion, you transform both the messenger and the message. Ancient practice. Stand before a mirror, meet your eyes, and repeat, "I am worthy of my own tenderness." Feel the reflection soften into peace. Let this practice become your daily ritual of self-acceptance, for in loving your own reflection, you transform how the world mirrors back to you. Chapter 4. The Rhythm of Non-Resistance. In a village among ancient hills, Clara spent her days teaching dance. Her movements were precise, each step measured against an exacting standard of perfection. While her technical skill drew admiration, something vital remained missing from her performances, the spark that transforms motion into magic. Night after night, Clara practiced until exhaustion, believing that through sheer determination she could force grace into being. Her shoulders grew tense, her breath shallow, as she fought against any deviation from her carefully planned routines. Yet the more she strived for control, the more wooden her dancing became. When you resist the natural flow of life, you create ripples of tension that disturb the very harmony you seek. The universe moves in perfect rhythm, but your struggle to direct its tempo only creates discord. Like a leaf fighting against the stream, your resistance depletes the very energy needed for transformation. One evening, as Clara rehearsed alone, a storm cut the power to her studio. In the darkness, without mirrors to judge her reflection or music to count her steps, something extraordinary happened. For the first time, she felt the whisper of her own rhythm. Without the pressure to perform, her body began to move with an ease she had never known. In that moment of surrender, she discovered that grace had always lived within her, waiting only for her permission to emerge. The law of attraction responds not to your struggle, but to your state of being. When you release the grip of control, you allow the universe to orchestrate circumstances beyond your limited vision. Your role is not to force the river's flow, but to align with its current. As the power returned and Clara resumed teaching, her approach transformed. Rather than imposing rigid forms on her students, she guided them to find their own inner music. One young dancer, initially stiff with anxiety, blossomed under this new freedom. Clara recognized in her former self this same fear of imperfection, the same resistance that had once blocked her joy. Life's greatest gifts arrive not through careful calculation, but through willing participation in its dance. Every moment presents a choice, to contract in fear or expand in trust. The universe awaits your surrender not to diminish you, but to reveal your innate connection to its perfect orchestration. True power lies not in controlling circumstances, but in aligning with the greater flow that moves through all things. When you release resistance, you free yourself from the exhaustion of constant striving. In that release, you discover that what you sought through effort arrives naturally through acceptance. Ancient practice. During any frustration, whisper softly, "Flow through me," and observe how ease reclaims your breath. Let this simple invocation remind you that resistance is optional, and surrender opens the door to grace. Chapter 5. Gratitude Before Evidence. In a small village at the edge of a bustling town, there lived a shopkeeper named George. Each morning he would unlock his store's wooden door, arrange his modest wares, and wait. The shelves grew dusty as fewer customers crossed his threshold, yet George began an unusual ritual. Standing behind his counter, he would bow slightly and whisper, "Thank you for the abundance that flows through this space." He did this even when the shop stood empty, even as unpaid bills gathered in his drawer. The universe operates through an ancient principle. Gratitude before manifestation births the very circumstances we seek to appreciate. This wisdom, passed down through generations of mystics and sages, reveals that thanksgiving is not merely a response to blessings received. It is the magnetic force that draws those blessings into being. When you express gratitude for what has yet to manifest, you align with the creative frequency of the universe itself. This alignment transcends the linear nature of time, reaching into the quantum field, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Here, in this sacred space of pre-manifestation, your thankfulness becomes a beacon, drawing to you that which you have already claimed in your heart. Consider how a seed contains within it the full potential of a mighty tree. Your gratitude offered before visible evidence works in much the same way. It nurtures the unseen into tangible form. One day, as George continued his practice of appreciation, an elderly woman entered his shop. She purchased only a small bag of tea, but as she left, she mentioned his store to her neighbor. The neighbor visited the next day and then told her friends. Soon, a steady stream of customers began flowing through George's door, as though his advanced thankfulness had carved a channel for abundance to follow. Through George's experience, we glimpse a fundamental truth. Gratitude is not simply a response to good fortune. It is the very frequency that attracts it. His story reveals how giving thanks in advance creates a vibrational environment where prosperity naturally flourishes. The simple practice of pre-gratitude carries within it the power to reshape reality. It switches your focus from absence to abundance, from waiting to receiving, from hoping to knowing. When you thank the universe for gifts still unseen, you demonstrate the highest form of faith, the kind that moves mountains and parts seas. Ancient practice of pre-gratitude. As each day draws to a close, find a quiet moment. Sit in stillness and speak words of genuine thanks for something you desire as though it has already manifested. Feel the warmth of gratitude fill your heart, knowing that your appreciation is already drawing your desire into form. This practice, handed down through countless generations, aligns you with the creative force of the universe itself. Chapter 6. The Dance of Trust. In a sunlit conservatory overlooking a garden in bloom, Hazel sat motionless at her piano, paralyzed by self-doubt. Though she had taught music for years, guiding countless students through their own creative journeys, she found herself unable to trust the melodies that whispered through her consciousness. Each time inspiration flowed, her analytical mind would interrupt, questioning every note before it could manifest. One morning, as dawn painted the sky in gentle hues, something shifted. Instead of forcing herself to compose, she simply sat in silence. As she released her grip on creative control, a melody began to flow, not from her mind, but through her being. Her fingers moved across the keys as if guided by an unseen force, giving voice to music that seemed to emerge from the very fabric of existence. When you release the need to direct every moment, you open yourself to the universe's infinite wisdom. Your intuition speaks in the language of pure knowing, a voice that requires no validation beyond its own presence. This inner compass always points toward your highest alignment, though the rational mind may resist its subtle guidance. The universal flow moves through you constantly, offering direction through gentle nudges, sudden insights, and unexplained certainty. These promptings arise from your connection to the infinite intelligence that orchestrates galaxies and guides butterflies to flower. When you trust this guidance, you step into harmony with the cosmic symphony. Later that year, Hazel was invited to perform at a prestigious concert hall. Minutes before she was to take the stage, her carefully prepared sheet music vanished. In that moment of potential panic, she felt an inner calm descend. As she walked to the piano, she surrendered to the music that lived within her. What followed was beyond anything she had previously performed. Her fingers danced across the keys, channeling melodies that seemed to emerge from the collective consciousness itself. The audience sat spellbound as compositions of pure inspiration filled the hall. In releasing her grip on predetermined outcomes, she had become a clear channel for divine expression. This truth extends far beyond music. It touches every aspect of your existence. The universe speaks through your intuitive knowing, offering guidance that transcends logical understanding. When you trust these subtle promptings, you align with the natural flow of creation itself. Your intuition vibrates at the frequency of universal wisdom. It requires no justification, no external validation. Like a perfectly tuned instrument, it resonates with truth, guiding you toward experiences that harmonize with your highest good. Every moment of surrender to this inner knowing strengthens your connection to the infinite intelligence that flows through all things. Ancient practice of intuitive alignment. Trust your first impulse for one small act today. Follow it as music follows rhythm. Let this practice become your gateway to deeper communion with universal wisdom. In this simple surrender, you'll discover that intuition, like music, needs no permission to flow. It simply awaits your willingness to become its instrument. Chapter 7. Thought as Light. In a workshop filled with glass and brass, Leonard crafted lamps with meticulous care. His creations were known throughout the village, not just for their craftsmanship, but for a peculiar quality that seemed to transcend mere mechanics. They shimmered with an inner radiance that changed with his spirit. One autumn, as shadows lengthened and Leonard's heart grew heavy with unnamed worries, something strange began to occur. His newest lamps, though perfectly constructed, cast only dim, wavering light. No matter how he adjusted the wicks or refined the oil, they refused to shine with their usual brilliance. Night after night, he toiled in frustration until an ancient glassmaker visited his workshop. "Your lamps mirror your thoughts," the craftsman observed, touching a flickering flame. "Each thought carries its own luminescence. When your mind clouds with doubt, your creations cannot help but reflect that shadow. Through the glass and metal of your daily experience, your thoughts shape the quality of light that fills your world. Each belief, each feeling, condenses into the energy that illuminates or dims your path. This is not metaphor, but the physics of consciousness itself. You are a master craftsman of reality's light. Your mind generates currents more powerful than any physical flame. When you maintain the clarity of your thinking, free from the dust of doubt, the smudges of fear, the tarnish of negative expectation, your entire existence glows with undiminished radiance. Some days later, Leonard began work on a unique lamp, one unlike any he had created before. Instead of focusing on the mechanical elements, he infused each step of its creation with pure joy. As he worked, he filled his mind with gratitude for the simple pleasure of creation. He blessed each component with thoughts of light and love. When completed, the lamp possessed no ordinary wick or oil chamber. Yet when Leonard approached it with a glad heart, it began to glow with a warm, steady radiance that filled the entire workshop. Those who saw it said it seemed to shine from within, powered by something beyond physical fuel. The universe responds not to the intricacy of your plans, but to the quality of your consciousness. When you maintain thoughts of pure light, appreciation, joy, trust, love, you become a living lamp, illuminating possibilities previously hidden in shadow. Practice the ancient art of mental illumination. Find a quiet moment at dawn or dusk. Close your eyes and envision your mind as a beautifully crafted lantern. See its glass panels, some perhaps clouded by worries or doubts. Now, with each grateful thought, watch as these panels clear. Thank the sunrise for its faithful return. Appreciate the air filling your lungs. Bless the challenges that strengthen you. Feel how each thankful thought makes your mental lantern glow brighter. Continue until you sense your whole being radiating with clear, steady light. Practice this daily and watch how your illuminated thoughts transform the landscape of your life. Chapter 8. The Art of Receiving. In a bustling marketplace, Pearl stood behind her flower stall, arranging blossoms with care and wisdom. Each day she gave away as many flowers as she sold, especially to those whose eyes carried sadness or whose shoulders bore invisible burdens. Yet, as seasons passed, her own garden began to wilt, and weariness crept into her bones like morning frost. Though neighbors offered help with her heavy water buckets or insisted on sharing their harvests, Pearl would smile and decline. "I am blessed to give," she would say, turning away from their kindness as if it were an undeserved luxury. The universe speaks through the language of exchange. Like the breath that must flow both in and out, abundance moves in a sacred circle of giving and receiving. When you close one channel, you unknowingly restrict both. Your resistance to receiving is not humility. It is an unconscious declaration to the universe that you believe in limitation rather than infinite flow. Each time you deflect a gift, you interrupt the divine current that seeks to nourish all of life. The same energy animates both the hand that gives and the heart that receives. To accept gracefully is to honor the giver's role in life's grand circulation. Your worthiness is not earned. It is your birthright, written in the stars that birthed you. Consider how a flower receives sunlight, rain, and soil's nutrients without question or shame. It knows that by fully accepting these gifts, it creates the very beauty it will later share. Nature holds no concept of unworthiness. Every element participates fully in the dance of give and take. One morning, as Pearl struggled with an overflowing bucket, her oldest customer, a wise woman named Sophia, took the water without asking permission. "The universe has been trying to help you for months," Sophia said gently. Each time you refuse, you tell abundance it is unwelcome. Something shifted in Pearl that day. When a young boy offered to sweep her stall, she smiled and said yes. When customers insisted on paying more than her modest prices, she accepted with gratitude. When neighbors brought soup and bread, she welcomed their care. Gradually, her garden flourished again. Energy returned like spring water finding its natural course. Her giving became more joyful, fed by the stream of kindness she had finally allowed to flow both ways. She understood at last, receiving was not taking, but participating in life's eternal circulation. The practice of sacred receiving. Say yes to one offer of kindness today, no matter how small. It is the universe practicing generosity through you. Chapter 9. The Alignment of Emotion. In a tranquil valley among ancient hills lived Winnie, an herbalist known for her healing teas and perpetual smile. Though customers praised her cheerful demeanor, behind closed doors she sealed her sorrows in glass jars, believing that negative emotions would taint her spiritual practice. Each evening, she buried her tears beneath forced affirmations, convinced that spiritual mastery meant eternal optimism. One autumn morning, a mysterious elder visited her shop. Observing Winnie's strained brightness, she shared wisdom passed down through generations. The moon does not apologize for its darkness, for without it, we would never witness its fullness. The truth of emotional alchemy flows deeper than the surface ripples of perpetual cheer. When you resist what flows through you, you create blockages in the universal current. Like a river dammed, emotions denied only gather force until they overflow their banks. The universe speaks through your feelings. Each one carries a message meant to guide you toward alignment. Joy and sorrow are not opposing forces but complementary energies, each essential to the rhythm of existence. When you honor your authentic emotional state, you align with the natural order. This alignment, this profound acceptance, becomes the very magnetism that draws your desires closer. In the depths of winter, Winnie discovered an old journal in her grandmother's chest. Inside, she found not only accounts of happiness, but also honest expressions of grief, fear, and uncertainty. Inspired, she began recording her own unfiltered feelings. As she wrote about her father's passing, years of suppressed mourning flowed onto the chapters. With each honest word, something shifted within her, like ice melting in spring sunshine. Gradually, genuine smiles replaced her forced ones. Customers remarked that her presence felt more healing than ever before. Her practice flourished not despite her emotional honesty, but because of it. She had discovered that authenticity carries a power that pretense never could. This mirrors your own journey with the law of attraction. When you deny any part of your emotional experience, you fragment your vibrational offering to the universe. True manifestation power emerges not from maintaining artificial positivity, but from allowing yourself to be fully present with whatever arises. The ancient practice of emotional alchemy. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Choose one emotion you've been avoiding, perhaps sadness, anger, or fear. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Breathe deeply and invite this feeling to surface fully. Don't try to change it. Simply observe its presence in your body. Notice its texture, its temperature, its movement. Continue breathing with it, offering no resistance. Stay present until you feel a natural shift occur. This may take minutes or longer. When ready, open your eyes. Notice how emotional honesty has transformed into deeper clarity. Remember, the universe responds not to what you pretend to feel, but to the truth of your vibration. In accepting all parts of your emotional landscape, you open the channel for genuine transformation. Chapter 10. Faith as Frequency. In a bustling marketplace, Otis spent his days examining coins, testing each piece for authenticity. His trained eye caught every counterfeit, earning him respect among merchants. Yet this same scrutiny that served him well in commerce became his spiritual stumbling block. "Show me proof," he would say to the universe, "and then I shall believe." Each morning, he would rise and demand evidence of life's greater mysteries. "Give me a sign that these ancient laws are real," he would mutter while counting his coins. "Let something extraordinary happen first. Then you'll have my faith." But the extraordinary remained elusive, precisely because he positioned himself as its gatekeeper rather than its welcomer. The law of attraction operates through an eternal paradox. What you seek must first be believed to be seen. Your consciousness is not a passive receiver, but an active creator. When you demand proof before belief, you unknowingly establish a frequency of absence. This vibration of "not yet" becomes your point of attraction, perpetually postponing your desires. The universe responds not to your requests, but to your resonance. Faith is not blind hope, but quantum recognition, the ability to tune yourself to the reality you wish to experience before its physical manifestation. Like a tuning fork that vibrates in perfect pitch before the orchestra joins in, your belief creates the template for manifestation. There came a day when Otis found an ancient manuscript hidden among his ledgers. Its weathered chapters spoke of a merchant who once turned copper into gold not through alchemy, but through unwavering gratitude for wealth not yet seen. Something in this tale stirred his soul. That evening, instead of his usual demands for proof, Otis sat quietly in his counting room. For the first time, he gave thanks for prosperity still invisible, for opportunities still unfolding, for abundance already present, though not yet apparent. He felt a subtle shift, as if the very air around him had changed its composition. Within days, merchants began seeking his counsel not just for coin verification, but for business wisdom. His reputation for integrity attracted opportunities he had never imagined. Success flowed not because he had demanded signs, but because he had become the sign itself, living proof that faith precedes manifestation. This mirrors your own journey with the law of attraction. The evidence you seek already exists within your capacity to believe. Each moment of faith is a tuning of your personal frequency to the reality you wish to experience. The universe does not require your skepticism to operate truthfully. It awaits your alignment to deliver abundantly. The ancient practice of faith. Resonance. As twilight embraces the day, settle into a space of quiet contemplation. Let your breath become steady and deep. Close your eyes and release the need for external validation. Feel the truth of your desires as already fulfilled within your being. Then, with the power of absolute knowing, whisper these sacred words: "I believe because I already am." Let this declaration vibrate through every cell of your body, tuning your entire being to the frequency of manifestation already complete. Allow this knowing to carry you into sleep, where the seeds of faith blossom into tomorrow's reality. Part 2. Expanding the Field of Creation. Chapter 11. The Language of Vibration. A weaver named Dorothy sat at her window each morning, watching the world through a veil of complaints. "Nothing ever changes," she would sigh to the rising sun. "Life passes by, leaving only threads of disappointment." Day after day, her words wove a tapestry of misfortune around her life. Customers grew scarce, fabrics arrived damaged, and her once prosperous shop dimmed with the weight of her words. One evening, as she closed her shop, Dorothy heard her own voice echoing from a nearby alley. A group of children mimicked her daily laments in play, their innocent mockery carrying her familiar refrain, "Nothing ever works out." The sound of her own negativity, reflected through their pure voices, struck her heart like thunder. The universe speaks in the language of vibration. Every word uttered carries a frequency that ripples through the fabric of creation, attracting experiences that match its tone. Your speech shapes the invisible architecture of your reality, each phrase a brushstroke painting tomorrow's landscape. When you speak of lack, the universe can only reply with more absence. When you voice defeat, life arranges itself to validate your proclamation. Yet this same principle holds the key to transformation, for just as negative words magnetize darkness, words aligned with light call forth brilliance. Consider your tongue as a wand, each syllable a spell cast into the quantum field. The ancient masters knew this truth. Creation itself began with a word. You too are a creator, speaking your world into being with every breath. In time, Dorothy discovered an old text hidden among her fabrics, speaking of the power of blessed words. She began a new practice, greeting each morning with "Life flows with abundance," and ending each evening with "All is well." At first, the words felt hollow, like empty shells against her lips. Yet as days passed, small miracles began to bloom. A stranger praised her work to wealthy friends. A supplier gifted her rare silks. Most remarkably, her heart lifted, as though her new words had rewoven the very fabric of her spirit. The truth became clear. Words are seeds planted in the garden of consciousness. What you water with your speech will surely grow. Every declaration of gratitude summons more reasons to be thankful. Every expression of love multiplies love's presence in your life. Your words are not mere descriptions of what is. They are invitations to what can be. The universe listens not to your wishes, but to your proclamations, responding to the vibration of your speech rather than the content of your desires. Sacred practice. Choose one phrase of kindness and repeat it aloud until your heartbeat sounds like agreement. Feel each word resonate with your being, knowing that as you speak life into these higher frequencies, reality must reshape itself to match your new song. Chapter 12. Imagination as Bridge. In a time when most measured only what could be touched, an engineer named Harvey mapped the unseen. Each night, in his small workshop lit by candlelight, he would unfold pristine parchment and trace intricate designs, not of bridges or buildings, but of dreams themselves. His fellow craftsmen mocked his peculiar practice, for who had ever built a foundation upon imagination? Yet Harvey understood a truth they had forgotten. Every masterpiece that now graced their world had first existed as pure thought. He drew happiness as carefully as others drew load-bearing beams. He sketched prosperity with the same precision others applied to architectural supports. The universe operates through an ancient mathematics, the calculus of consciousness. Your imagination serves as the drafting table where reality's blueprints first take form. When you envision with clarity, you encode energy with precise instructions for manifestation. This power lies dormant in most, who believe that seeing is believing, but the masters have always known. Believing is seeing. Your mind's eye is the architect's compass, drawing circles of possibility in the quantum field. What you imagine with feeling becomes the template that energy follows. Think of your visualization as more than mere daydreaming. It is the universe's native language. When you close your eyes and paint detailed pictures in your consciousness, you speak directly to the creative force that shapes worlds. The clearer your inner vision, the more exact the outer manifestation. One stormy evening, as rain drummed against his workshop windows, Harvey unrolled a fresh sheet of parchment. Instead of sketching conventional solutions, he allowed his hand to trace what his heart saw as possible. His lines flowed with unconventional grace, defying the very laws his peers held sacred. Impossible, they would have said. But Harvey had learned to trust vision over limitation. Weeks passed, and slowly, mysteriously, his impossible designs began taking form in the physical world. Solutions appeared that no one had conceived before. Materials behaved in ways that seemed to transcend their nature. It was as though reality itself had caught glimpse of his drawings and rushed to match them. This is the secret. Imagination is not fantasy, but the universe communicating in images. When you picture your desires with the precision of an engineer and the wonder of a child, you allow the cosmic intelligence to show you what it wishes to create through you. Your visualization becomes the mold into which universal energy pours itself. Sacred practice. Picture your ideal moment for 1 minute daily as if remembering, not hoping. Hold each detail in your mind's eye, the colors, sounds, sensations, and emotions, as though reviewing a cherished memory. Let your whole being resonate with the reality of this vision, knowing that what you can see with such clarity, the universe can manifest with equal precision. Chapter 13. The Power of Words Unspoken. In a bustling marketplace, Lydia stood behind her small stall of hand-woven textiles, watching a heated argument unfold between two merchants. One accused the other of stealing customers through dishonest practices. Their voices rose like dust in the afternoon heat, drawing uncomfortable glances from passers-by. While others tried to intervene with words and reasoning, Lydia remained still, emanating peaceful awareness. As the quarreling merchants passed her stall, her tranquil presence created an unexpected pocket of calm. They found themselves falling silent, their anger dissipating in the quiet field of her serenity. Without speaking a single word, she had helped restore harmony to the marketplace. The universe speaks in frequencies beyond sound. When you align with stillness, you tap into the most powerful current of creation. Like a still pond reflects the sky perfectly, a quiet mind mirrors divine intelligence with pristine clarity. Your silence becomes a vessel through which universal wisdom flows unimpeded. In moments of discord, The instinct to speak, defend, or convince often arises from misalignment. Words launched from tension only multiply tension, but in the space of conscious quiet, solutions emerge naturally. This is not passive withdrawal, but active presence, a state of such complete alignment that no verbal assertion is necessary. True power resides not in what you say, but in who you are being. When you rest in the silence of your own wholeness, life rearranges itself around your peaceful center. Others feel this frequency and naturally attune to it, like instruments finding harmony with the pure note of a tuning fork. In time, Lydia encountered Thomas, known throughout the village for his vocal skepticism of anything spiritual. He would often mock those who spoke of meditation or inner wisdom. Rather than attempt to convince him otherwise, Lydia simply maintained her practice of peaceful presence whenever their paths crossed. Day after day, as Thomas passed her stall, she met his cynical remarks with understanding silence. She didn't try to change his mind or defend her beliefs. She simply held space for his journey, radiating unconditional acceptance. Gradually, Thomas began lingering near her stall, at first making excuses about examining her wares. Eventually, he started sitting quietly beside her, something in him responding to the peace he felt in her presence. Without a single debate or discussion, his heart had been transformed by the simple power of silent compassion. Your true nature is like the vast sky, spacious, unchanging, embracing all that passes through it. When you rest in this silence, you become a living invitation for others to discover their own inner peace. No words can match the transformative power of genuine presence. Practice. Find a comfortable space where you won't be disturbed. For 5 minutes, sit in complete silence, allowing gratitude to fill your being without forming it into words. Let your quiet appreciation radiate like sunlight, knowing that in this wordless communion, you are speaking the universe's native language. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Energy of Choice. High in a mountain village lived Ruth, a weaver known for her intricate designs. Each morning, she would sit before her loom, threads of various colors spread before her. Yet lately, she found herself frozen in indecision, unable to choose which pattern to begin. Should she weave the traditional motifs that sold reliably, or follow the new designs dancing in her dreams? As days passed, her loom remained empty while possibilities tangled in her mind. The universe responds not just to our desires, but to the clarity of our choosing. When you stand at a crossroads, hovering between paths, you emit a frequency of uncertainty. This vibration can only attract more situations that mirror your hesitation. Like a radio caught between stations, indecision creates static in the field of manifestation. Every moment of uncertainty splits your creative energy, diluting the power that could be focused into singular direction. The universe cannot deliver clear results to unclear intentions. Your hesitation is not protection. It is a form of resistance that keeps your good at bay. Consider how water flows with absolute certainty toward the ocean. It does not stop at each fork in the river, weighing options. It simply moves forward, and in that unwavering momentum, finds its way around every obstacle. This is the power of committed choice. In the depths of winter, Ruth received news of two grand festivals occurring simultaneously in distant cities. Each offered an opportunity to showcase her work, but she could only attend one. For weeks, she agonized over the decision, making lists of pros and cons, seeking advice from everyone she knew. In her uncertainty, she nearly missed the deadlines for both. Then one morning, gazing at her still empty loom, Ruth understood. The energy she poured into weighing options could have been spent weaving. In that moment of clarity, she made a firm choice, the festival to the east, where her heart had first leapt. The instant she committed, events began shifting. A traveling merchant offered to transport her works. A friend mentioned affordable lodging. Even the weather forecasts aligned in her favor. Each decisive choice acts as a signal to the universe, collapsing infinite possibilities into defined experience. When you choose with clarity, you activate a magnetic force that draws supportive circumstances toward your decision. The universe honors commitment with synchronicity. Your power lies not in having infinite options, but in choosing decisively from the options before you. Every clear choice becomes a thread in the tapestry of your destiny. The path illuminates itself, not before your choice, but because of it. Practice. Stand in a quiet space. Feel the weight of any decision that has been haunting you. Now, state aloud one firm yes that will move you forward. Notice how your energy shifts the moment you commit. The universe is already responding to your clarity. Chapter 15. The Field of Forgiveness. In a small coastal village, Walter kept a meticulous record of wrongs in his memory. Each morning, he would polish his grievances like tarnished silver, especially the deepest wound, his brother's theft of their father's inheritance. For 20 years he nurtured this pain, letting it grow roots through his spirit, until his very breath tasted of old sorrows. The universe moves in currents of energy, flowing endlessly between all things. When we hold fast to past hurts, we create dams in this sacred stream. Your resentment, no matter how justified, becomes a weight anchoring you to moments that have long sailed past. This resistance creates a magnetic field that attracts more experiences matching your pain's frequency. The law of attraction responds not to what happened, but to the energy you maintain about what happened. While you grip tightly to betrayal's memory, you unconsciously broadcast the vibration of being betrayed. The universe, in its perfect reflection, can only echo back situations that resonate with this frequency. Forgiveness is not about pardoning the unpardonable or denying your truth. It is a sacred act of energetic release, a conscious choice to unclench your spirit's fist. When you forgive, you don't change the past. You change your relationship with it. This shift in energy creates space for new possibilities to flow into your life. One stormy evening, Walter found an old photograph of his brother as a child, eyes bright with innocence. For the first time, he saw not the man who had wronged him, but a soul who had lost his way. Something softened in his chest, not excuse or approval, but a gentle letting go. That night, he slept deeply for the first time in years. As days passed, Walter noticed his shoulders relaxing, his breath deepening. The energy once spent tending his wounds now flowed into his garden, his relationships, his art. Without the weight of resentment, his spirit lightened, and life began responding in kind. New opportunities appeared, as if they had been waiting for him to create space for their arrival. The message whispers clear. Holding on to pain blocks the very abundance you seek. Each grievance you release frees energy for manifestation. Your heart was never meant to be a museum of old hurts, but a channel for life's endless renewal. Ancient practice of the heart's release. Find a quiet moment as twilight approaches. Close your eyes and picture your heart as a radiant vessel. With each breath, allow your grudges to transform into particles of light. Watch them rise and dissolve into the infinite. Feel the spaciousness that remains. This emptiness is pure potential, the foundation of all creation. Let your unburdened heart pulse with new power, ready to attract the blessings that have been waiting for you to let go. Chapter 16. The Sacred Pause. Along the winding streets of an ancient city, Edith wove through crowds with rapid steps, her mind always racing ahead to the next task. Time was her constant adversary. There never seemed enough of it. Her days blurred into a ceaseless rush of appointments, decisions, and deadlines. Even her prayers became hurried whispers between moments. One afternoon, as she hastened toward another meeting, an elderly woman blocked her path, moving with deliberate slowness. Frustrated, Edith attempted to step around her, but found herself mysteriously compelled to match the woman's unhurried pace. In that enforced deceleration, the world suddenly sharpened into focus. The gentle breeze, the play of sunlight, the rhythm of her own breath. When they reached the crossroads, the woman turned to her with knowing eyes and said, "The universe speaks in stillness, child. Its wisdom waits in the spaces between your thoughts." The sacred art of pausing transcends mere physical rest. It is an alignment with the natural rhythm of creation itself. When you rush through life, you move faster than divine timing can orchestrate your highest good. Each pause creates a window through which universal intelligence can reach you. Think of your consciousness as a pond. When stirred by constant motion, its surface becomes turbulent, reflecting nothing clearly. Only in stillness can it mirror the sky above. Similarly, your inner wisdom emerges most clearly in moments of conscious stillness. Edith discovered this truth unexpectedly during a power outage that forced her to abandon her usual evening routine. Sitting in candlelight, stripped of distractions, she felt an unfamiliar peace settle over her. In that quiet space, the solution to a problem that had eluded her for months simply floated into her awareness, complete and perfect. The universe operates on its own divine schedule. When you align with this natural timing through conscious pauses, life begins to flow with remarkable grace. Your actions become more effective, your decisions more aligned, your path more clear. Not because you've worked harder, but because you've allowed wisdom to emerge. Practice the sacred pause. Before making any significant decision, create a moment of sacred stillness. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths, releasing all urgency. Rest in this calm center until you feel your energy settle completely. Without seeking answers, simply remain in this space of receptivity. Notice how wisdom often appears naturally, like the sun rising over still waters. Trust that in your pause, the universe is already orchestrating the perfect unfoldment of your desires. Chapter 17. The Gift of Contrast. In a village known for its intricate tapestries, Loretta crafted her life with similar precision. Each morning she would unfold her mental map of plans, expecting reality to follow her carefully plotted course. Yet time and again, life presented unexpected turns and apparent obstacles that seemed to mock her meticulous designs. One autumn morning, Loretta set out to deliver her finest tapestry to a prestigious merchant. The usual path was blocked by fallen trees from a storm. Frustrated, she took a longer route through winding streets she'd never explored. There, through an open window, she heard music that stirred her soul. Following the sound, she discovered an art collector's home adorned with tapestries far more magnificent than any she'd seen before. The collector, moved by her genuine appreciation, became her mentor and greatest patron. The universe speaks through what appears as interference. Each detour carries a message. Each obstacle offers guidance. When you resist these divine redirections, you fight against the very force attempting to lead you toward your highest good. Consider water flowing downstream. When it meets a boulder, it doesn't stop or struggle. It simply finds another path, often creating something more beautiful in the process. Your life operates by the same principle. What appears as obstruction often serves as divine course correction. As weeks passed, Loretta began approaching her work differently. Rather than forcing predetermined patterns, she allowed each thread to suggest its own direction. When colors didn't match her initial vision, she remained open to new combinations. Her tapestries took on a life of their own, expressing beauty she couldn't have planned. One day, preparing for a major exhibition, every element seemed to go wrong. The dyes weren't mixing properly, and her favorite threads were unavailable. Instead of fighting against these circumstances, she whispered thanks for each challenge. Something shifted in that acceptance. The limitations themselves began suggesting innovative solutions. The resulting work became her masterpiece, possessing a depth she had never achieved through careful planning alone. Every preference emerges from contrast. Every obstacle refines your vision. When life presents a no, it simultaneously illuminates a clearer yes. These moments of resistance aren't barriers to your desires. They are the chisel sculpting those desires into sharper focus. The wisdom lies not in avoiding contrast, but in embracing its guidance. Each challenge asks, is this truly what you want? Is there perhaps something even better? The universe never blocks your path. It simply reveals more elegant routes to your destination. Practice. The contrast, clarification. When challenges arise, whisper, "Thank you for sharpening my clarity." Let each obstacle be a teacher, showing you more precisely what you desire. Feel how resistance itself holds the seeds of greater wisdom, guiding you toward paths you might never have discovered through seamless success alone. Chapter 18. The Magnetic Body. In a bustling marketplace, Clyde moved between stalls with slumped shoulders and heavy steps. Though his spice shop held the finest saffron and cardamom in the village, customers seemed to drift past like leaves on the wind. Each evening, he would return home more exhausted than the day before, his dreams of success growing dimmer with each passing moon. Our bodies speak the language of attraction more fluently than our words, whispered an old merchant who noticed Clyde's demeanor. Your tiredness calls to more of the same. The wisdom in this truth extends beyond Clyde's tale. Your physical vessel serves as an instrument of manifestation. When your body carries the weight of defeat, it broadcasts that frequency into the universe. Each cell resonates with your emotional state, creating a field that either attracts or repels your desires. The ancient masters understood that consciousness dwells not only in thought, but in every fiber of your being. Your breath, posture, and movement pattern your energy field as surely as your intentions. This somatic wisdom reveals that manifestation begins in the body's knowing. Within this temple of flesh and bone, you hold the power to tune your vibration through conscious embodiment. Your physical form is not separate from your spiritual essence. It is the very instrument through which universal energy flows. In time, Clyde learned to tend to his body's signals with the same care he gave his precious spices. Each morning he began to breathe deeply, allowing vital force to flow through his being. He straightened his spine, lifted his chest, and let his face soften into gentle alertness. Soon, customers began to pause at his stall, drawn by an invisible force they couldn't name. "There's something different about this place," they would say, lingering to sample his wares. His energy had shifted from depletion to abundance, and the world responded in kind. Your body is a living antenna, constantly broadcasting and receiving vibrational information. When you align your physical presence with your highest intentions, you become a natural magnet for that which you seek. The universe recognizes your embodied truth more readily than your mental declarations. The somatic alignment practice. Find a quiet space and sit comfortably upright. Place your hand upon your heart center. Take 3 slow, intentional breaths, imagining that with each inhale, every cell in your body awakens with magnetic vitality. Feel this radiance pulsing outward, attracting all that resonates with your highest good. Let your body become a living prayer of attraction. Chapter 19. The Balance of Doing and Being. A weaver named Doris sat at her loom from dawn until starlight, her fingers racing against time itself. Though her tapestries were beautiful, dark circles shadowed her eyes, and inspiration's light grew dim. Each morning she would tell herself, just 1 more hour, 1 more design, until exhaustion wove itself into every thread. The harder she pushed, the more her creations lost their spirit. Customers who once marveled at her work now passed by, sensing something missing in the once vibrant patterns. In her relentless doing, she had forgotten the sacred art of being. This truth echoes through the ages. Creation flows from the marriage of active and receptive energies. When you constantly push in masculine energy of doing, you lose connection to the feminine well of inspiration. Like a river that has forgotten its source, action without essence runs dry. The universe operates in perfect balance between effort and ease. Just as nature knows when to burst forth in spring and when to rest in winter, your soul carries this same wisdom. True manifestation arises not from endless doing, but from aligned action born of inner stillness. One evening, as Doris's tired hands trembled over her work, a moth fluttered through her window, dancing in moonlight. Something in its effortless movement caught her attention. She watched as it settled on a thread, its wings opening and closing in peaceful rhythm. In that moment, she understood. Setting aside her shuttle, she closed her eyes and allowed herself to simply breathe. As tension melted from her shoulders, colors and patterns began flowing through her mind with unprecedented clarity. The next morning, instead of rushing to her loom, She sat in quiet communion with her creative spirit. When her hands finally moved to the threads, they danced with newfound grace. The tapestry that emerged seemed to weave itself, infused with light and life that had been missing for so long. Soon word spread of the masterpiece taking shape in Doris's workshop. Visitors spoke of designs that seemed to shimmer with their own radiance. By surrendering to the rhythm of being before doing, she had discovered the secret of effortless creation. Your greatest works emerge not from striving, but from the sacred space where doing and being merge. When you honor both energies, inspiration flows naturally into form. Each action becomes a prayer, each creation a testament to the power of balanced force. The practice of aligned action. Before undertaking any task, pause and rest your hands over your heart. Ask softly, "Does this feel light?" Wait in stillness until you receive a clear response. Move forward only when you sense an inner glow of yes. This simple practice aligns your actions with the natural flow of creation, ensuring that what you do springs from authentic inspiration rather than obligation. Chapter 20. The Spiral of Expansion. Long ago, in a village among ancient hills, there lived a craftsman named Norman who carved intricate wooden sculptures. After years of study with master artisans and gathering wisdom from travelers, he believed he had mastered his craft. His works drew admirers from distant lands, yet slowly, imperceptibly, his creations began losing their soul. One morning, while working on a piece that felt hollow despite its technical perfection, Norman noticed a young apprentice watching him with wonder-filled eyes. The boy asked simple questions about wood grain and tool selection, questions Norman had long ago stopped asking himself. In that moment, he realized his certainty had become a cage. The universe speaks through patterns, each seemingly familiar situation carrying deeper layers of truth waiting to be discovered. When you think you have learned all there is to know, life gently guides you back to beginning points, revealing fresh dimensions within familiar territory. Just as a spiral appears to return to the same position while actually ascending, your spiritual journey revisits lessons with increasing subtlety and depth. Each turn builds upon previous understanding, refining your vibration to higher frequencies. What appears as repetition is actually elevation, the same truth viewed from a more expanded perspective. In Norman's second chapter, he set aside his master's pride and began approaching his craft with renewed curiosity. He started asking questions again, experimenting like a novice while applying his years of experience. To his amazement, his work transformed. The wooden figures now seemed to breathe with life, carrying an energy that transcended technique. His transformation mirrors an eternal truth. Mastery is not a destination, but an infinite spiral of growth. When you embrace each moment as fresh territory, even familiar lessons shimmer with new insight. The universe delights in your willingness to begin again, to see with new eyes what you thought you already knew. What you perceive as setbacks or repetitive lessons are actually invitations to deeper understanding. Each spiral through familiar territory carries the potential for quantum leaps in consciousness. If you remain humble enough to learn, curious enough to explore. Norman's journey reveals that true wisdom lies not in accumulating knowledge, but in maintaining the innocent wonder of a perpetual beginner. When you release the need to have arrived, every experience becomes a gateway to greater expansion. Practice. Sit quietly and recall a lesson or situation that seems to be repeating in your life. Rather than resisting its recurrence, welcome it as a spiral staircase leading to higher understanding. Each time this familiar pattern appears, bless it as a sign that you are ready to receive its deeper wisdom. Remember, life is not testing you. It is training you for greater joy. Part 3. The Infinite Phase. Chapter 21. The Portal of Presence. In a bustling market square, Sadie rushed between stalls, her mind racing ahead to tomorrow's worries while missing the abundance surrounding her. Each morning she crafted detailed lists of future dreams, yet her constant planning cast shadows over the gifts already waiting to be noticed. The more intensely she projected herself into imagined tomorrows, the more life's simple miracles slipped past unseen. The merchant's kind smile, the perfect fruit ripening on her windowsill, the synchronistic encounters that could have blossomed into opportunities. Within the infinite field of creation, only one point holds true creative power: the eternal now. When your awareness rests fully in the present moment, you align with the universe's natural rhythm of manifestation. Like a flower that neither strains toward tomorrow's sun nor grieves yesterday's rain, your energy flows undivided into the fertile soil of now. The present moment contains all possibilities, all potential, all magic. Yet, how often does the mind pull away, believing that fulfillment lies in some future time? This scattered attention fragments your creative force, diluting the very power that could transform your current reality. In the mystical texts of old, it was written that the divine knows only the eternal present, a singular point where all creation flows forth. When you rest your consciousness in this same timeless awareness, you tap into the source of all manifestation. Walking home one evening, weary from chasing tomorrow, Sadie paused to catch her breath. In that unexpected stillness, the world came alive with overlooked wonders. A neighbor's garden she had passed 100 times revealed itself as an oasis of color. The sunset painted the clouds in hues she had forgotten existed. A chance conversation with a stranger opened doors she had been forcing shut through sheer effort. That single moment of presence accomplished more than months of future-focused striving. By simply being fully where she was, Sadie discovered that life had been orchestrating beautiful possibilities all along, waiting only for her attention to notice them. This truth rings across ages. Presence is the most powerful magnetic force in the universe. When you bring your full awareness to now, you activate the law of attraction in its purest form. No longer scattered across time, your energy concentrates into a laser beam of creative potential. The universe responds not to your wishes for tomorrow, but to your vibration in this moment. Every instance of full presence sends ripples through the field of infinite possibility, drawing to you experiences that match your current state of being. Practice. Gaze at your surroundings for 1 minute, naming silently what already blesses you. Let your attention rest fully in the present, acknowledging the abundance that exists here and now. As you recognize these gifts, feel how your appreciation magnetizes even greater wonders into your experience. Chapter 22. The Heart's Signature. In a bustling marketplace, a craftsman named Marvin sat at his wooden stall, surrounded by replicas of other artisans' work. His fingers traced the curves of vases that mimicked the famous potter 2 streets over, and his eyes darted between baskets woven in patterns borrowed from the village elder. Though his skill matched the originals, customers passed his stall with barely a glance, as if sensing something missing in these perfect copies. Each morning he would study the successful merchants, noting their techniques, their pricing, even their way of greeting patrons. Yet prosperity remained elusive, like water slipping through cupped hands, until one night sleep eluded him, and in the quiet darkness a voice from within whispered, "The universe cannot find you when you wear another's face." The law of authentic vibration flows through all creation with unwavering precision. Just as no 2 leaves catch the sunlight in quite the same way, each soul carries a unique, energetic signature. When you attempt to mirror another's path, you transmit a frequency of discord, a subtle misalignment that the universe cannot properly respond to. Your true power lies not in perfecting imitation, but in expressing your distinctive essence. Think of the nightingale who tries to roar like a lion, or the rose attempting to become an oak. No matter how precise their mimicry, their energy speaks of separation from self. The universe recognizes only truth, and truth dwells in authenticity. Your desires must carry your unique vibrational signature to manifest in harmony with your highest good. In time, Marvin began creating vessels unlike any other, rough-hewn bowls that told stories through their imperfections, vases that curved like morning mist. At first, fellow craftsmen scoffed at these strange designs, but soon collectors sought him out, drawn by an inexplicable resonance with his work. "These pieces," they would say, "feel alive." One morning, a wealthy merchant paused at his stall, handling each piece with reverence. "I've traveled to every market in 7 provinces," the merchant said, "but never have I seen such work. These could only have come from your hands." In that moment Marvin understood. Success had evaded him not because he lacked skill, but because he had muted his own creative voice. The universe responds not to the perfection of execution, but to the truth of expression. When you align with your authentic frequency, you become a clear channel for abundance. Your unique gifts are not random accidents, but precise instruments tuned to attract specific blessings. Like a key crafted for its own lock, your authentic vibration opens doors that no other frequency can access. Ancient practice. As the sun rises tomorrow, find a quiet space and place your hands over your heart. Breathe deeply and ask, "What expression longs to flow through me?" Then do one act that feels purely you, something that springs from your essence rather than obligation or imitation. Watch as reality recognizes and responds to your authentic signature. Chapter 23. The Alchemy of Emotion. Along the mist-shrouded coast, Flora walked the same shoreline path each dawn, her footsteps heavy with loss. Since her daughter's passing, she carried grief like a stone pressed against her heart. The waves crashed endlessly, matching the rhythm of her tears, until one morning she noticed an elderly woman sitting alone on the rocks, shoulders trembling with her own private sorrow. Without thinking, Flora approached, offering the stranger her shawl and her presence. In that simple act of reaching beyond her pain, something shifted, like light passing through water, transforming into rainbow. Within the infinite wisdom of the universe exists a sacred truth. Emotions are not obstacles to be overcome, but raw materials awaiting transformation. Just as an alchemist turns base metals to gold, your feelings, even the darkest ones, contain the seeds of their own transcendence. When you allow yourself to feel fully, you activate the universal law of emotional transmutation. Think of your emotions as water in its various forms. Grief can freeze you in place like ice, yet when fully acknowledged, it melts into streams of compassion. Anger, like steam, can dissipate into the motivation for positive change. Each feeling carries within it the potential for its highest expression. In the marketplace where Flora once sold flowers, she began noticing others who carried similar shadows in their eyes. She started leaving small bouquets with notes of encouragement for those who seemed lost in darkness. Each act of kindness transformed a fraction of her pain into purpose, until giving became as natural as breathing. One day, a young mother found Flora arranging wildflowers by the memorial fountain. "Your flowers found me on my darkest morning," she whispered. "They reminded me that beauty still exists." Flora recognized in the woman's voice the same ache she had carried, and in that recognition her own heart opened further. Her grief hadn't disappeared. It had transformed into a bridge between souls. The universe responds not to what you feel, but to how fully you allow yourself to feel it. When you resist emotion, you create a dam in the natural flow of energy. But when you embrace each feeling as a teacher, you discover that every emotion contains within it the seed of its own healing. Like the chrysalis that appears to be death yet cradles transformation, your darkest emotions often hold the greatest potential for spiritual alchemy. The law of emotional transmutation teaches that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change form. Your task is not to eliminate what you feel, but to allow each emotion to evolve into its highest expression. Grief becomes compassion. Fear transforms into wisdom, and loneliness opens into universal connection. Ancient practice. Choose one emotion that moves strongly through you today, whether through brush strokes on canvas, movement through dance, or words flowing onto paper. Give this feeling a voice. Let it speak without judgment or restraint. Watch as the very act of expression transforms its energy, turning what once felt like burden into wings. In this sacred alchemy, every feeling becomes fuel for awakening. Chapter 24. The Symphony of Synchronicity. In a small coastal village, a fisherman named Clifton began seeing the number 333 everywhere, on boat registration numbers, catch tallies, and market receipts. At first, he dismissed these occurrences as meaningless, until one morning when following the familiar sequence led him to discover an abandoned net filled with rare pearls. The universe speaks in patterns, whispering its guidance through the language of repetition. What appears as mere coincidence to the untrained eye reveals itself as sacred correspondence to the awakened heart. Each synchronicity serves as a breadcrumb on the path of your highest calling. When you attune yourself to these subtle messages, reality begins orchestrating itself around your awareness. The very act of noticing creates a vibrational resonance that attracts more signs, more confirmation, more evidence of the invisible hand guiding your journey. This is not wishful thinking, but rather the natural outcome of aligning your consciousness with universal intelligence. Consider how Clifton's story shifted once he began honoring these numeric messages. Not only did he find material treasure, but his entire relationship with reality transformed. The numbers became trusted companions, leading him to calmer waters during storms, and revealing abundant fishing grounds others had overlooked. Yet the deeper teaching lies not in the signs themselves, but in the trust they cultivate. When you acknowledge these subtle coordinations, you strengthen your connection to the cosmic dance. Each recognition becomes a note in the symphony of synchronicity. A second tale illustrates this principle with crystalline clarity. After months of following these numeric guideposts, Clifton found himself drawn to an unusual spot, far from his regular fishing grounds. Though other fishermen warned against the location, the repeated appearance of 333 gave him courage to proceed. There, he discovered not only an unprecedented catch, but also rescued a stranded boat, one that carried his future wife. This miraculous convergence reminds us that synchronicities serve as cosmic choreography, arranging circumstances for our highest good. What seems random to the logical mind reveals perfect orchestration to the trusting heart. When you embrace these sacred coincidences, you enter the flow of divine timing. The key lies in treating each synchronicity as communication rather than chance. Every repeated number, every meaningful coincidence, every strange timing carries a message meant precisely for you. By acknowledging these signs with gratitude, you amplify their resonance in your field of experience. Your practice. When you notice any synchronicity today, be it repeated numbers, meaningful coincidences, or perfect timing, pause to speak your gratitude aloud. Say simply, "I see you and I thank you." Feel how this recognition strengthens the bridge between your consciousness and universal intelligence. Chapter 25. The Bridge of Joy. In a bustling marketplace, a young woman named Mabel carried worry like a heavy basket, searching endlessly for her life's calling. Each morning she would rise before dawn, consulting spiritual texts and crafting elaborate plans, her brow furrowed with the weight of seeking. Yet the more intensely she pursued her purpose, the more it seemed to recede like a mirage. One day, while resting beneath an ancient olive tree, she witnessed a group of children playing with soap bubbles. Their pure delight at watching these ethereal spheres dance in the sunlight struck something deep within her. In that moment, she forgot her searching and joined their play. As rainbow-tinted orbs floated around her, Mabel felt a forgotten lightness rise in her chest. That very evening, a stranger approached her about teaching art to children. The very passion she had abandoned in pursuit of what she thought was a higher purpose. The universe responds not to the intensity of your seeking, but to the frequency of your being. Joy is not the reward for finding your path. It is the path itself. When you align with delight, you activate an ancient wisdom within your cells that knows precisely where to guide you. This is not frivolous pleasure, but rather the profound recognition that the universe itself is an expression of creative celebration. Your emotional state serves as an infallible compass. When you feel weighted by significance and seriousness, you actually move away from your natural current of manifestation. But when you allow yourself to be carried by genuine joy, you enter a slipstream of synchronicity where everything you truly desire flows to you with elegant ease. In time, Mabel discovered this truth more deeply. Rather than approaching her art classes with solemn determination, she embraced them with playful enthusiasm. She replaced rigid lesson plans with spontaneous creative experiments. Soon, her classroom became known throughout the village as a place where magic happened daily. Children emerged not just with paintings, but with awakened spirits. Parents reported their children's newfound confidence, and other teachers sought her guidance. Without striving, she had become what she had always wished to be, a catalyst for transformation. Yet it happened not through the gravity of purpose, but through the lightness of joy. Her delight became a beacon, attracting opportunities, resources, and connections that her previous seeking had failed to manifest. This revelation speaks to a profound spiritual principle. Joy is not merely an emotion. It is a creative force that rearranges reality according to its vibration. When you choose happiness first, regardless of circumstances, you alter the very field of possibilities around you. Your laughter becomes a prayer, your pleasure a form of power. The practice. In the sacred tradition of spiritual play, find one thing today that makes you giggle. A silly dance, a playful moment with a pet, or even making faces in the mirror. Let yourself feel the pure delight of being alive without agenda or purpose. This seemingly simple act realigns your entire vibrational field with the natural joy of existence. Remember, what appears as mere amusement to the world is actually advanced spiritual practice in disguise. Chapter 26. The Echo of Service. In the heart of an ancient city, a merchant named Benny spent his days calculating profits and losses, measuring success by the coins in his purse. Each morning he would stand before his mirror, reciting affirmations of wealth while checking his ledger for signs of growth. Yet despite his diligent focus on accumulation, abundance remained elusive, slipping through his fingers like grains of sand. The universe held a deeper truth, waiting patiently for Benny to discover it. One morning, a blind elder stumbled outside his shop. Without thinking, Benny rushed to help, guiding the man to his destination. In that simple act, something shifted within him. A warmth he had never felt through any business transaction. Your true wealth flows not from what you gather, but from what you give freely. The universe operates through circulation, an eternal dance of giving and receiving. When you serve others without expectation, you align with the highest frequency of abundance. This divine paradox reveals that the more you release your grip on getting, the more naturally prosperity flows. Service is not sacrifice, but rather the purest form of self-expression. Each act of kindness creates ripples in the universal field, returning multiplied blessings in unexpected ways. This is the law of spiritual economics. Giving precedes receiving always. In time, Benny began leaving anonymous gifts for struggling families in his neighborhood. He never spoke of these acts, yet his business mysteriously flourished. One day, a wealthy merchant sought him out, saying he had heard of Benny's integrity from those he had helped. This connection opened new pathways of abundance that his careful calculations never could. The wisdom whispers, when you serve others, you serve your highest self. Your generosity creates an energetic signature that the universe must match. Every selfless act sends waves of positive intention into the field of infinite possibility, returning as synchronized opportunities and unexpected gifts. The secret lies not in the magnitude of giving, but in the purity of intention. A single kind word offered with genuine care carries more manifesting power than grand gestures tinged with ego. Service performed without desire for recognition activates the law of divine multiplication. Ancient practice. Choose one act of service to perform anonymously today. Let it be something simple and heartfelt. As you give, notice the quiet joy that rises within. This feeling is your vibration elevating, creating space for greater abundance to enter. Trust that your kindness ripples outward in ways you cannot see, blessing both giver and receiver in perfect balance. Chapter 27. The Harmony of Duality. In a valley where sunlight and shadow played eternal games, lived a woman named Irene who waged war within herself. Each morning she would paint bright pictures of joy and kindness, only to tear them down by nightfall in fits of anger and judgment. She believed her darker emotions made her unworthy, trying desperately to banish them through endless meditation and positive thinking. One evening, as shadows lengthened across her garden, an old sage appeared. "Why do you fight yourself so?" he asked, watching her furiously pulling weeds. "These plants need both sun and shade to grow strong." His words pierced her heart, revealing a truth she had long resisted. The universe speaks through contrast, using both light and shadow to sculpt your consciousness into wholeness. What you resist persists because it seeks not elimination, but understanding. Your shadows are not enemies to vanquish, but teachers bearing gifts of wisdom. Every aspect of your being serves the grand design of your awakening. The anger you judge contains the seeds of boundary setting. The fear you hide holds the blueprint for courage. The doubt you shame carries the question that leads to deeper truth. Integration occurs not through battle, but through embrace. As you welcome all parts of yourself, the energy once spent in internal conflict transforms into creative power. This is the alchemy of self-acceptance, where opposing forces dance into harmony. One day, while arranging flowers, Irene noticed how the shadows cast by bright blooms created depth and beauty she had never appreciated before. In that moment, she stopped separating herself into good and bad, worthy and unworthy. She simply allowed herself to be whole. A profound peace descended as she realized light needs shadow to be seen, just as joy needs sorrow to be felt. In accepting both, she discovered a deeper current of love flowing beneath all experiences. Her inner world, once a battlefield, became a sacred dance of complementary energies. The wisdom speaks. When you embrace your wholeness, including the parts you once rejected, you align with the full spectrum of universal power. Your shadows, integrated with consciousness, become the very force that propels your evolution. Every aspect of your being is a note in the cosmic symphony. Ancient practice. Take a moment to reflect on a challenge that has shaped you. Write down one strength or wisdom that emerged from this struggle. Then speak these words aloud. I honor both the difficulty that taught me and the growth it inspired. Through acceptance of all that I am, I become whole. Let this acknowledgement dissolve the illusion of separation between light and shadow, revealing the unity that has always existed within you. Chapter 28. The Law Beyond Laws. In a bustling marketplace stood a merchant named Felix, his stall meticulously arranged according to ancient feng shui principles. Every morning he consulted his charts of lucky hours before opening, measured exact angles for his display, and recited precise affirmations in specific numbers. Yet prosperity remained elusive. slipping through his perfectly positioned fingers. While others sold with easy joy, Felix fretted over each detail, consulting books of manifestation techniques until his eyes grew weary. His rigid adherence to method had become a cage, trapping the very energy he sought to cultivate. The universe operates through principles, not procedures. When you grasp too tightly at techniques, you strangle the very flow you wish to channel. The law of attraction responds not to perfect execution, but to the quality of your consciousness. Your natural state of being already knows how to create. It is your overthinking that disrupts this innate wisdom. Truth reveals itself through simplicity. The breath flows without instruction. The heart beats without study. Your intuitive connection to universal intelligence requires no manual. When you release the need for perfect practice, you discover the perfect practice was always your authentic presence. Consider how a child manifests joy without method, how birds find their way without maps, how flowers bloom without studying the process. The universe speaks through subtle impulses, gentle nudges, and quiet knowing. Your role is not to master techniques, but to master the art of listening. In time, Felix noticed an old woman whose simple stall flourished despite breaking every rule he followed. Her only practice was humming softly while arranging her wares with unhurried pleasure. "The secret," she shared, seeing his questioning gaze, "is that there is no secret. Life delights in flowing through an open heart." That evening, Felix put away his charts and formulas. For the first time, he simply sat with his goods, feeling their energy, placing them where his hands naturally wanted to move them. His stall began to pulse with an authentic vibrancy that drew customers naturally. This awareness dawns. The universe doesn't require your perfection. It invites your presence. Methods can guide but should never govern. The highest technique is allowing your inner wisdom to lead the way. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and release all methods you've learned. Sit in pure beingness, allowing your breath to flow naturally. For one full day, let go of rigid practices. Follow only the gentle whispers of your inner knowing. Notice how life flows more freely when you trust your natural rhythm. The universe already knows how to work through you. Your only task is to allow it. Chapter 29. The Next Phase Unveiled. High in a mountain village lived a woman named Lula who had mastered the art of manifestation. Her home overflowed with evidence of her creative power. Paintings she'd attracted, opportunities that had found her, relationships that had blossomed through perfect alignment. Yet something stirred in her depths, a whisper of emptiness that no manifestation could fill. One dawn, as she sat among her treasures, she noticed how the rising sun touched each object with the same gentle light. In that moment, her attachment to these outer signs began to dissolve. The universe was offering a deeper teaching, one that transcended the dance of attraction and achievement. The highest phase of spiritual evolution arrives when you discover that presence itself is the ultimate creation. In this sacred space, wanting dissolves into being. The need to manifest external proof of your power transforms into a serene recognition that you are already complete. This is the next phase of consciousness, where creation flows not from desire, but from the silent joy of existence itself. Your journey through the law of attraction has been preparation for this moment of transcendence. Each manifestation was a step toward realizing that what you truly seek is not the object of your desire, but the peace that exists prior to wanting. This peace is not an achievement, it is your natural state, revealed when the noise of seeking falls away. As weeks passed, Lula found herself sitting longer in simple stillness. Her neighbors noticed a change. Though she created less, she emanated more. One morning, a young seeker asked her secret. Lula smiled and pointed to the space between her heartbeats. "Creation now flows from here," she whispered, "from the silence that needs nothing." In that silence she had discovered the profound truth. Presence itself is the ultimate creative force. When you rest in being, life orchestrates through you with effortless grace. This is not a rejection of manifestation, but its fullest flowering, where doing emerges naturally from the depths of being. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and sit for 5 minutes without seeking to attract or achieve anything. Simply rest in the awareness that is already present. Notice how life continues to create through you, even when you release the need to make anything happen. This is the next phase, where presence itself becomes your greatest creation. Chapter 30. The Circle Returns. A sage named Henry, who had walked the path of manifestation for decades, found himself drawn to teach in a small community center. What began as casual conversations evolved into something far more profound. Young seekers gathered around him, their questions echoing his own past journey. "I spent years mastering techniques," Henry shared, "believing the right method would unlock abundance. Yet what I discovered was simpler and more magnificent. Love itself is the force that creates worlds." The seekers leaned in closer as Henry continued, "When you align with love, you align with the primary vibration of the universe. All other laws flow from this foundation. Gratitude, surrender, joy. These are not separate practices, but different expressions of the same infinite love. The universe operates through unity, not division. Your desires arise from the same source that fulfills them. What you seek is seeking you. The apparent separation between wanting and having exists only in time, not in truth. When you rest in love's presence, time dissolves, and manifestation becomes natural as breathing." Each morning, Henry witnessed transformation rippling through his students. They stopped forcing outcomes and began trusting love's quiet guidance. Their manifestations arose with elegant ease, yet these outer changes mattered less than the inner flowering of understanding. One evening, a student asked about his greatest lesson. Henry smiled and replied, "Everything I thought I was chasing, abundance, purpose, peace, was love wearing different masks. The journey wasn't about acquiring, but remembering what was always here." Soon, the community itself became living proof of this teaching. People who had come seeking personal gain found themselves naturally serving others. Those who had struggled alone now supported each other's growth. Their shared understanding created a field of resonance that attracted more seekers, each adding their unique note to love's expanding symphony. The law of attraction reveals itself most purely through connection. When you recognize that same divine spark in every heart, manifestation transforms from personal achievement into collective elevation. Your individual light joins the greater radiance, and miracles multiply through unity. This wisdom writes itself endlessly through human experience. Each person who awakens to love's presence becomes another word in the infinite story. The teaching never truly ends. It simply finds new hearts ready to remember their own divine nature. Practice the sacred recognition. As you move through your day, pause to recognize each person as another chapter in love's unfolding story. See past surface differences to the shared light within. With each encounter, silently acknowledge, you are another way the universe expresses its infinite love. Let this recognition dissolve separation and amplify the field of creation you share with all beings. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. The phase you have awakened to transcends the mechanics of manifestation. This awareness flows beyond techniques and methods into the pure recognition of your true nature. You are not separate from the universe. You are its conscious expression, creating through your very presence. In this refined understanding, the law of attraction reveals itself not as a tool to be wielded, but as the natural consequence of your alignment with Source. When you rest in this knowing, manifestation occurs not through effort, but through resonance. Your vibration and the universe's response are not two events, but one unified movement, like waves arising spontaneously from the ocean of consciousness. You no longer need to chase dreams or manipulate energy. Your natural state of being attracts corresponding circumstances with the same inevitability that light dispels darkness. This is not something you do. It is what you are. The seeking ends not because you have found what you wanted, but because you recognize yourself as the finder and the found. The wisdom in these chapters served as a mirror, reflecting back your own innate understanding. Like a flower turning toward the sun, your consciousness has naturally oriented toward its source. The practices and principles were stepping stones leading you back to the truth you have always known. You are the creative force you sought to master. This book found you because you were ready to remember. Its purpose completes not in giving you something new, but in stripping away what obscured your original nature. You stand now in the simplicity of being, where wanting and having merge into presence, where doing dissolves into allowing, and where the seeker discovers they were always home.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.